Welcome back to another episode of the Bamboo Season Podcast. I'm your host, Dorian Wormsley. So glad to have you. The podcast where you will hear real stories from real people about real transformation. It is Women's History Month.
Wow.
I don't know about y'all, but I love women. I do. They're amazing. They make this world go round. We need them around for a lot of amazing things. And my guest today for sure has made history. Personality is on 1,000. I'm super excited. I'll let her introduce herself and tell you more about what she's done, what she does, and how great she is. She's the female version of David Goggins, so she says. I bring you Peg Munson.
Hey, how are you?
I am phenomenal, Peg. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Thanks. It's really great to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me onto your show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I found you through Kelsey.
Okay.
It's Kelsey, right?
Is Kelsey? I don't know.
Trainer.
I don't know. Oh, no, Kennedy?
Is it Kennedy?
I don't know. I'm not
your
sure.
trainer.
Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Kennedy Shields. You did.
Yes. Where did I get Kelsey from?
That's
Sorry,
right.
Kennedy.
Shields. That's all right.
Sorry, Kennedy. It's not Kelsey. But yeah, so I've known her through the fitness world. She had posted you one day, and I went to your Instagram. I saw a retired firefighter and bomb tech, and I'm like, whoa, I got to hear this woman's story. I've always wanted, when I have guests, I want guests that are, I guess the words outliers I'll use, but people may not think do certain things. Like, I want to hear, how'd you get to that and do that, right? And then, we connected, and then here you are. You made time. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, you bet.
You're a busy woman.
You're very busy.
So if you could tell us a little bit of what you used to, retired firefighter, all that stuff, you could tell us a little bit about what you used to do and what you do now.
Well, I was born and raised in Vegas. So
Born and raised.
Yes, born and raised here. There's not a lot of us. A lot of natives, they move out, but they end up coming back. But born and raised in this town. So I've seen this town go from a very small town, very, very small. I remember when I was about 16 years old, I was driving down the freeway, Spaghetti Bowl area. And at the top of Sahara used to be time and temperature. And everybody knew that. And I remember looking up, and then I heard on the radio, there was the date on there, and I think it was 81 or 82, 1981 or 82. And they just announced there was 150,000 people in Las Vegas. And everybody was like, whoa, that's a lot of people.
Wow.
But I remember that day. Yeah. So I've watched this town grow. I've watched people and families move in. I watched this town become more family oriented, which is really great. And it's a good place. I didn't like it, to be honest with you, when I was younger, but it has grown on me. I'm really starting to enjoy Vegas.
Where's your family from?
My dad's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and my
Okay.
mom's from New York. They moved out here. My dad was in the Air Force, so he moved out here because he was stationed at Nellis Air Force Base.
Okay.
Yeah, and they met on Fremont Street back in the 50s and 60s.
Wow.
When everybody used to cruise, and I cruised Fremont Street, but we would cruise up, we'd turn around, and we would cruise back, and that's what we did on Friday and Saturday nights. And that's
Wow.
where they met.
So they're around here like the real mob times.
Real mob times, exactly.
Dang.
It was fun. It was really fun back then because it was very innocent.
Yeah.
Very innocent, and it was a lot of fun.
And then when you grew up, you were around the time of like casino.
Yes, exactly. I grew up in this. I was born in 63. I'm 62 years old, so I was born in 63. So basically, I'm a 70s baby, 80s baby, 80s
Liberace.
baby. Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was interesting just to watch this town literally transform into what it is today.
Because even me, I moved here in 2004.
Oh, okay.
So I've been here just over 20 years. And just in that time, so much has changed. Because when I first moved here, I think the Wynn was just being built. And I live on the southwest side now by IKEA. None of that was there.
None of it.
And now it's just crazy. And because I don't know about you, but for me, I pretty much stay in the same sector most of my days. Every so randomly, I'll go to the east side or Northmore or Centennial area. And I'm like, whoa, when do they build this?
Exactly.
Like, I can't believe it
exactly.
of how much it's expanding. And it's great. I think there's a lot going on for locals outside of the Strip.
Yes.
Which I do love because back in the days, it seemed like everything you wanted to do had to go to the Strip to have fun in a sense.
Correct.
So you went to Rancho High School.
I did. Went to Rancho, grew up in North Las Vegas since I was about 3 years old. So Belmont and Lake Mead. And then I transferred over to El Dorado High School.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So I just have seen a lot of changes in this town for the better. That's for sure. For the better. Back in the 90s, I danced on the Strip. I did Country Tonight. I did a show. It's called Country Tonight. So I danced professionally for a couple of years in my 20s, which was really, really fun. And, I was just, and one thing about Vegas, a lot of people don't understand Vegas because a lot of different places in our country, the kids go to college, but not here in Vegas. They don't ask you where you're going to college. That's not even a conversation because, we were cocktail waitresses or we were dealers or we were parking cars and making $200,000 a year back in the 80s. So, that experience of that whole college experience, it wasn't a big experience for the younger generation back in the 80s. It just wasn't. So all of us, our parents kicked us out of the house and they said, thank you very much. Go get a job. Good luck.
Dang.
Yeah, it's nothing like it is today. So, we had to sink or swim. We really did. And so I had a whole bunch of just different odd jobs doing different things. And, I loved dancing and I always took class and stuff here in town. It was called Backstage Studio. It was a studio a lot of the professional dancers went to back in the day when the shows were coming to fruition on the Strip. And so I did that show for a little while. And then I had a little interior design business in the 80s also as well. Early 90s, basically 90, 91, 92. I saw an ad in the paper. I was working at the Park Hotel, it's front desk, and I saw an ad in the paper that said interior designer, JCPenney's. So I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to go, and go interview. And they hired me on the spot. So they sent me to Seattle. I was certified, did a little interior design for about 2 years with them. And then I went out on my own and I opened up my own little business. And I did that for several years.
Wow.
And that was fun. And that was in my mid-20s. Yeah.
With your father being in the Air Force, was that ever an option or anything they pushed or wanted you to do is kind of join the military also?
Well, you know what? It's interesting you say that because after high school, I was looking to go into the Navy. I really wanted to go into the armed forces. But I chickened out at the last minute. I heard about boot camp. I was like, oh, no. Yeah. So it was a little intimidating. So, so I skipped on that.
How long was your father in the military?
He was there for, I think, 6 years at Nellis Air Force Base.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah, 6 years.
I stayed up there for a few days for this. I'm not even allowed to talk about it, I don't think. But stayed there for a few days. And it was, I've lived here, like I said, almost 20 plus years, and I barely went last summer for the first time to the Air Force Base. I'd never seen it. I didn't know there was it's like a little town.
It is.
It's on hotel. Yeah. We stayed at the hotel. I got to meet the number one guy. I don't know the exact term of his, but the main guy, him and his number two, and kind of hear what it's like up there. And it's amazing.
That is, isn't it?
And we did a tour of the boneyard and we got to sit in here and see the planes take off. And
wow.
I didn't think it was that cool.
That's really cool.
Until you see it. Like I never would have thought like, wow. And it's like, damn, these damn jets and the pricing of it and stuff. I'm like, whoa, yeah.
It's really
I
cool.
can see why stuff costs a lot.
Yeah.
And how did you make your way to become a firefighter?
Well, in 1992, was it 92, 91, the Gulf War hit. So Vegas shut down because it was a booming town for 20, 25 years. We had, a lot of different construction going on, a lot of housing construction going on, and the Gulf War hit, and it just literally, became a ghost town.
Wow.
If you were anybody that was here, I mean, it was just screeching halt. It just stopped.
Kind of like COVID?
Oh, yeah. Not that bad, but it was bad.
Okay.
And there was just, and all the builders left. All the the designers, the tile, the plumbing, the roofing, everything what it takes for the housing industry just literally left. So it was a ghost town. So I'm like, well, now what am I going to do? Business has literally just dried up. And so my girlfriend, who I went to elementary school with in Northtown, she said, hey, the fire department, they're hiring, and they really need women. And this was in 1991. And I'm like, ooh, that sounds cool. I'm like, they only work 10 days a month. I'm like, I'm in. It sounded like a cool thing to do. And I would always love the challenge. I really do. I've been working out my entire life. I used to teach aerobics and fitness back in the early 80s. And so I'm like, cool, this sounds great. So she literally took me under her wing. She'd been on Clark County Fire Department for about 5 years, Sheila Tarr. There's an elementary school named after her. She has passed away since.
Really?
Yeah.
Was she a firefighter?
She was for Clark County.
Wow.
Yeah, she was there for about 5 years, I believe, 5 or 6 years.
Did she pass on duty?
No, she got a really rare form of MS. And
damn.
we were working out one day and she'd like, hey, Munson, my legs are hurting. And they didn't know, they couldn't find out what was wrong with her. And she went to Scripps and Mayo, and it was, they tried to treat it, but it was too late. And she passed away, and she was only 33 years old. But she's my true hero in life. She always has been. We, when we were kids, we went to Tom Williams Elementary School, and we would do gymnastics together, and we were on a gymnastics team, and she was always better than me by far. So she was always somebody that I looked up to and I really admired, and I still do. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here today. So she's truly my angel, one of my angels in my life. So she just told me about the fire departments were hiring, and she took me under her wing and just trained me physically, because it's a very, very, very physical, demanding job.
Yeah.
And, and I trained with her for probably about 6 months. And then I started to test on different departments, because you test on Clark County, you test on Las Vegas, because they're different municipalities, Boulder City, Henderson. So, and I got hired on. I just got hired on, and I trained like nobody's business. And it was pretty interesting, because when you do the physical agility, they time you. And I think back then you had to finish it all within, I believe it was 9. Was it 11 minutes? I can't remember. Either 9 or 11 minutes. I can't remember. But you've got to don on your turnouts. You got to put your air pack on. You got to climb the 100-foot ladder. You have to lock in with your, your carabiner, and you got to bend backwards, and you got to name the tool that's 100 feet on the ground. Then you climb down, and then you pull hose, and then you hoist up hose. Then you go into a building, little burning building, and you've got to, simulate pulling ceilings. And so it's very, very physical. And a lot of guys drop out. A lot of guys don't even finish.
Wow.
And I remember my time, if I remember right, I think it was in 11 minutes you had to do the whole agility in, and I did it in 9. So I really, I've always had that very competitive spirit, and just always, physically fit. And I love the challenge. So that I was able to go ahead and, get past the physical. Then you have the written first. You got to pass that 90% and above. Then the physical agility. Then it's called an oral board. So you sit in front of a chief, or, battalion chief, or a captain, and you do an oral board and you answer questions. And then if you make it through that, then you have your chief's interview. So it's just you and the chief of the department, and you have a chief's interview. And so I went through all of that. And I think it was a couple of weeks later, I got the call from Human Resources. Congratulations, you're going to be in the first rookie school. And I was very, very excited. Very excited.
Damn.
Very challenging. Very challenging. Yeah.
I'm sure. I can only imagine. I recently did a tour of the number 1.
Oh, did you go to one?
Right there downtown, the big one.
Oh, you did? Right here.
Yeah.
That's where I was at. That was my
so
home station.
we were there talking, and they had brought you up. She had just, because you were there touring, visiting.
Right. Exactly.
You were visiting. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm trying to get her on my podcast. I think she's coming on sometime soon. And we did a tour of that. And man, it is interesting. Like, we went upstairs.
Oh, they let you upstairs?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say all this.
Oh, no. That's good. It's okay. No, but if they let you upstairs, that's cool, because that's where all the dorms are.
We didn't get to see the dorms, but we got to see like the call center.
Oh, the call center.
Not call center, but the response team. Yeah.
Yeah, 911. Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa. And they're kind of just telling us how it breaks down.
It's
and
dispatch.
Yeah. And then we didn't see the dorms. There was a rookie guy. He was kind of showing us things, and he slid down the pole for us.
What?
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
What?
I got it on
that
video.
Is BS, because they would not, when I was visiting the station, they would not let me slide down the pole, because back in 1992, you did it. It was operating. That's what we did.
And we got to sit there and watch and see them go on calls. A few calls came in. We watched them hop in, boom, get their boots on, this and that, take off in the ambulance. Somebody else, they took off in the fire truck. And then the rookie, we saw him do his whole, I don't know what to call it, but he did the whole thing where he opened up the fire hydrant, plugged it, carried the hose all the way across, got his axe, broke the door down, sprayed, put the ladder, and it was cool to watch. He's young. He was 21, something like that, young kitty rookie.
Were they training, or were they just doing drills?
He was just showing us the thing.
So he was a rookie?
He was a rookie, yeah.
Okay, so he was just doing, he was showing like different drills.
A drill, I guess he had to show us. And it was
training.
Phenomenal to see. I'm like, I've never seen it in action, never been anywhere where I have seen firefighters in action. So it was cool. And him being so young, I was like, damn, dude, you did that. Like, that was great to watch.
Yeah. And that's why, we were talking about David Coggins before we came on here.
Yeah.
And that's why, I'm on his second book and I absolutely just love him. And I really do feel like I'm like the female version of him because of everything. I listen to his books and I'm on the second one and I can understand him. And not only do I understand it intellectually, I understand it, at my soul level because a lot of things, not to his extent, not to his degree, but I understand a lot of things because I went through it. And you have to dig deep in that grit, in that grind, and you can't give up. You never can give up. There's so many times that I wanted to give up during rookie school, because it's hard. It's physically hard. It's physically challenging. And then I was promoted to the fire investigations. Then I had to go through a police academy. So that was another David Coggins moment, dig deep. Because not only is that physical, but now it's mental. Because now you've got to learn about the law. You've got to learn about, 400 codes. And you have to, you're out there protecting and saving. So there's a lot that goes into a police academy, which I had no idea. The police academy actually was harder than the fire academy.
Really?
Right?
Why?
It challenged you on a different level, It really did. And David Coggins also talked a lot about his EMS and his EMS career. And I had no idea he did it for like 20 years. And he just has such a great way. He's so articulate when he's explaining like life challenges and what it's like to be in an EMS, emergency medical technician. And I can just relate to that. I really can. So his book is really, it just resonates with me at a very deep soul level. And if you're out there listening, David, come on out and do a podcast with us, man.
Yeah.
We would love it.
Oh, man.
Especially for this native Las Vegan.
Yeah, I first introduced to him on social media. Like I would just see clips of him yelling and running. And I'm like, okay. As a fitness person, I'm like, okay, I get it. A little bit much though. So then I go visit my uncle in California. My uncle is super cholo, went to prison, sober now, is very much still like a go-getter type energy. And he was telling me like, yeah, David Goggins. And I'm like, what? He was like, yeah, you don't know me, son? I'm like, okay. If my uncle's listening, let me go listen to him. So I went and listened to his podcast with Joe Rogan. I was like, got to hear his story a little bit.
Right.
Bought the book right then and there, bought the audio version and listened to it. I finished it in the first week.
Yeah.
And then I got the second one. And the beautiful thing, and I encourage people, if you go read his book, to do the audio. Oh, yeah. Because the audio, it's a narrator, but then after each chapter, they kind of have a discussion. And David kind of gives more breakdown. In depth. Yeah, it's almost like a podcast.
Yeah, an in-depth experience.
And it's like, and when I heard him say the things he was saying, it hit me so hard because there was moments in my life where the things I had been through and got through, I didn't know how to explain it. So hearing him say it and explain it, I'm like, finally, I get what he's saying. Like, I didn't go through the exact struggles he did, but I felt a 4-story window.
Right.
My body was broken.
Wow.
I was laying on a hospital bed and couldn't move.
Wow.
For weeks.
Wow.
Right? Like, in that moment, I had to learn, like he says, callous my mind to push through this and understand I can either stay a victim or I can work on myself and get out of this position and use this hard moment as fuel in the future. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know I was doing that when I was doing it.
Right.
And then going through that recovery process and just all the life experiences I've had that were hard, hearing his story similar in certain ways of things he'd been through. And I was just like, finally, I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
And that's why I love his content also. I understand it. Yeah. Some people don't like it. And if they don't like it, it's probably because it's attacking them.
Yeah.
And it's calling them out.
Each to their own. I mean, it just is not going to resonate with everybody, but who it resonates with, it resonates at a very deep level. A very, very deep level. And I think that's where the connection is with me because it resonates with a very deep level of the struggles that you go through. There was so many times that I wanted to quit on the fire department.
Why?
Because of it. Look, I was a woman in 1992 on the fire department. Come on,
that sounds crazy. I know.
Come on, and look, little tiny thing like me, and I'm like, yo, hey guys, what's up? Let's go fight some fires, man. But that's my attitude, and you got to remember the men that were on at that time in 1992. I was the fourth woman hired on. They didn't know what to do with me. They're like, oh shit, what are we going to do with this one, right? Yeah. And it took a long time, like 5 to 6 years to prove yourself. And it did. I remember one first fire. It was I don't know if it was my first fire, but it might have been my third or fourth. But it was a 2-alarm fire, which means there's a lot of trucks, a lot of engines, a lot of battalion chiefs on scene, ladder truck companies on scene, and it was a warehouse fire. And we were like 150 feet deep into this furniture warehouse, right? And me and my partner went in, and at the very nozzle, at the very end of the hose, there was no water. And the other guys were doing ventilation. They were all in the building. And, there was a kink in the hose. So that's why you always have a partner. So I was on the nozzle, and I'm like, go back. I'm cool. Go back and just unkink the hose. Well, he didn't come back. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Yeah. So I'm like, well, finally I got some water, right? But when I went out after fighting this fire by myself as a rookie, that I realized that they all left the building because it was getting too hot. Because there's a certain thing when you're fighting fire, if you're in the building for too long, then the integrity of the building becomes weakened. So you got to get out of there because the roof might fall, and that puts you in a position to where it's really dangerous. So, and I went out there, and they were all on the, engine sucking oxygen. And I just realized I'm going to have to really step up my game because they don't give a shit about me on this job. They really don't. And what they did back in the days, they really tried to push the women out. Really, they were very hard on them. And psychologically, physically, mentally, they were very hard on the women. And the women that could not handle it, they did leave. And they would come to me, and they would be kind of their sob story. And I'm like, look, you guys, this is a man's world. If it's too hot, get out of the kitchen because it's not going to get better. You're in their world, and if you can't adjust to their world, you're going to have to leave. And that's not the answers they were looking for. They wanted me to, hold hands and sing Kumbaya with them. And I'm not going to do that. You got to suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah.
And if you can't, you got to go. And a lot of them did. A lot of them, even to this day, I think even after all this time, I think there was always about 19 to maybe 24 women on, maybe 25 at the most. But it doesn't go over that amount, that number.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that.
You went somewhere good. That was good. That was some of the questions I was going to ask about how it was being a woman in that kind of field of a man dominated. Pretty much only men have done it,
Oh, yeah.
To go in that, and I was just curious if there was hazing or shit talking.
All of it.
Really,
all the above.
Yeah.
Oh, and some.
Wow.
Because it's 1992.
Yeah.
Tons of hazings, tons of shit talking, but I didn't let it get to me. Like Coggins was talking, I just didn't. What it did was it fueled me to become better, and it fueled me to continue on with my career.
So let me ask you this: I like that mindset you mentioned. You're saying how they pushed you, they're trying to push you out, they're trying to do everything they can to break you down.
Mm-hmm.
You sat back, took that, and was like, okay,
Yep.
I'm just going to use that as fuel.
Yep.
Where'd that mindset come from? Like your parents, where did you learn?
I think that mindset came from I grew up in the hood. I grew up in North Las Vegas. I grew up in the hood. And we didn't have I had one pair of play shoes and one pair of school shoes, And I didn't grow up with a lot of money, and there was no such thing as, money for college, that I was able to do on my own later on in life. And so you dig deep, there's no safety net, as the guy that I am now dating, he grew up the same way. And I think that's why we get along so well.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, we grew up exactly the same way. We really did. There's no safety net.
Yeah.
There's no mommy and daddy's money to fall back on. There's no inheritance or any of that stuff. Literally, 18, I got luggage for my 18th birthday. Good luck, goodbye, and that's how it went.
Damn.
And they didn't feel bad or guilty about it. It's so different than what it is today. So I knew that what I had to make of my life, I had to do it. There was nobody's going to come to save me, nobody. And I wasn't one of those women that was looking for a man to save me. No judgment on the women that do, but I was not cut from that cloth. I was cut from the cloth was you got to go work your ass off. You got to work hard, and you don't come up for air until you're done.
Where'd that come from then?
I think like Coggins talked about it.
Was your dad instilling that in you? Like, what were some things your dad instilled or mom as a young woman? Like when you were growing up, was your mom kind of saying, "Hey, you want to go to school, get a man, this and that"? Was your dad saying, "No, be your own woman," or it's just your own? You just
none
learned.
of it. I got none of it.
Wow.
It was, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. It's like, get the hell out of the house, go play. I don't want to see you guys back until the street lights come on. And people in my era, they know what that means. Because we're like, get the hell, cartoons on Saturday, do your chores and get the hell out of the house. And I don't want to see you back here until the street lights come on. And that's all of us grew up that way.
Wow.
So we would leave. God only knows where we'd go. We'd be building forts in the desert or riding our bicycles clear across town, you know, or walking through the sewer. I mean, we did some shit growing up, you know, because, so I think that was something that's innate. I think that's something that I just have on my own because I didn't get a lot of guidance from my parents. Actually, I didn't get any guidance from my parents. They divorced and remarried, and they had their troubles in their marriage. And so I just knew I wanted more, and I wanted better for myself. And I knew I'm the one that had to create that. I couldn't look to anybody else. And I'm still doing that. I'm 62 years old. You know, I'm still doing that to this day.
That's beautiful, Peg.
Yeah.
I love the idea of knowing what you just at the very end of that is I want more.
Right.
I deserve more.
Right.
For myself personally, when I got to a certain point in life, I just realized that like my upbringing was a certain way. And if I would have stayed that, it would have led me to a life that was the same way I grew up and repeat as an adult. And I would have remained that cycle. And I was like, no, I'm tired of living this kind of way. We were homeless as a kid, living in motels, worried about the minuscule things. I don't want to live that way to where I'm worrying about just finances, I guess is the word I'll use. Not saying I want all this mansion, this and that, but I want to be able to have the basics without, like one thing I would love to have is always have everything on auto pay without having to check my account.
Yeah.
That to me is freedom. That to me is quality of life to where you don't have to worry about bills or anything like that. I don't care about the other stuff, but bills are taken care of. You don't have to look at shit. Growing up as a kid, it was a struggle looking like, all right, we got to do this. We're not going to eat this week. We're eating noodles, bologna sandwiches, Tampico, 99-cent store. And you just learn. And unfortunately, that became the normal for me all up until adulthood, until I got to a certain age when I was like, nah, man, like I want better.
Right.
I want to look on the left side of the menu.
Right. Exactly.
One of my favorite speakers talks about that, how he likes to live his life on the left side of the menu. You open the menu, there's people who look at the price first, and there's people who look at what they want.
Right.
It's like, are you getting what you want, or are you getting what you can afford?
Right.
And that's how I want to live my life. Like, I don't want to live extravagant, but I want to be able to go to a nice restaurant, open it. I don't even care what the price is. I'm confident enough that I know financially I can afford what I want, not what I can afford.
Right.
And that kind of want and desire for myself is what pushes me to show up when I'm not feeling like it, show up when I'm hungry, upset, angry, whatever. Show up.
Right. Well, look, it's that grit and grind. It's a grit and grind. And I think that you can't, that just is, it's innate. You know, either you have it or you don't. I really do. I honestly do believe that. I do. And for whatever reason, you know, I have it. And one other thing I think is because there is no safety net. I know there's nobody that's going to save me. I've got to do it for myself. And that's what I've always done. So, and I'm still, like I said, I'm still doing it. So then I went to the police academy, went through, that was even harder. That's a whole other story in itself because there's a story below the story. I'm telling you, it'd be great for a Netflix series because my husband was having an affair with one of the women at his work, and we all worked for the city of Las Vegas, and it was really bad. It was really nasty, really ugly.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I went to the police academy, she was what you call a TAC officer in my police academy.
Oh.
Yeah. So she was a training officer. Yeah. And they were having an affair, and it was not good. It was just not. I was 30 years old, and it was just all bad. And she got pregnant while they were having an affair, and I didn't know anything about it. Oh yeah. I'm telling you, it could be the best Netflix movie. You know, and what I had to do to find out, because that woman's intuition, right, was coming along. And I was like,
she's looking at me weird.
Something's wrong.
She's talking
something's
to me
weird. And so I tapped my own phone. I put a tap on my own phone. I had to figure it out. Something's not right, and I have to figure it out. Yeah, so I tapped my own phone, and I found out about the affair and the baby and all that stuff. Blah, and it all just blew up, you know. Then we're all in divorce court together, and we all work for the city of Las Vegas. And city managers showing up in my divorce hearing, and it was a shit show. Let me tell you, it was a shit show. Oh, it was bad. There's so much more to it. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah. Well,
oh gosh.
Based off that, they had the kid?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I divorced him.
Okay.
Everybody split, as it always does. It never works out, you guys.
It never works
out. Never. And we divorced. She was married at the time. She had
so they were both cheating.
Oh
Oh, that's
yeah.
good.
Oh, yeah. So good. I did
Netflix, please make this.
Oh, I'm telling you, I did my investigation skills, and I called up the husband, and I said, hey, your wife and my husband's having an affair. And he said to me, what time can we meet today? And, it really is. I'm telling you.
That's a movie.
It's kind of like The War of the Roses, Fatal Attraction, and Top Gun, all wrapped in one. I'm telling you, it's exciting. You never know who the bad person's going to be.
You need to write it.
I'm telling you.
Write a book.
It's really, really cool.
Have you thought about writing a book?
I have, actually. I have. And actually, I have started.
Good for you. You
I
should.
have started. It's.
So let's hold on. Let's take
and Coggins he's inspired me to do that.
Yeah.
So come on, David.
Yeah, David, you're gonna see this. I hope. I know
right.
you will.
Come on, baby.
And
Come
if you
on
see this, tag David Goggins. Tell him he needs to come on. We're here in Vegas. We need to hear. We know your story, but we just need you here
I want to
anyways.
sit down and talk to him, man. I really do. I think it'd be great.
I'd love
just
it.
to share stories and stuff. It'd be so good.
I'd cry.
That'd be really good.
I'd
okay,
cry.
let's go back to the.
We'll get to. Okay, so you're a firefighter. You go to police academy.
Mm-hmm.
You find out they're cheating, having a baby on you.
Mm-hmm.
You divorce. What led you to become a bomb tech?
Well, let me back up really
Oh, go ahead. Tell it.
So what happens? So we have to test in order to become a fire investigation bomb tech. It's a testing process. It's all a testing. This is how they do it in the the firehouse or that type of career. So anyway, so I told the guys, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply. And they said, no, Munson, don't. You're never going to make it through the fire academy. Give your spot to one of the guys. Yeah, that's what they told me. And I'm like, really? Okay. So that just fueled me even more. That just fueled me that much more. And then testing, I scored number 1 on the test, and they were pissed. All the guys were pissed, right? And so what they did was they appealed one of the questions. So what that did was that knocked me down to number 2. So what they do normally, human resources, when you have a testing process, they number like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all people, and they normally pick the top person to be promoted. It's fair, right? Number 1 gets promoted, number 2 is next in line, number 3. So by them appealing a question, what that did was knock me down to number 2. So therefore, that person, the guy, right, could go to number 1 and he could get promoted. So I appealed his appeal. I ain't taking that. I ain't taking that bullshit. Can we cuss on here?
Yeah.
Bleep out.
No, it's my podcast.
So
You can say what you want, girl.
Yeah, I don't take
Cussing
that.
makes
I
you
don't take that shit.
We don't take that shit.
I don't take that shit.
Let them know, Paige.
I don't have time for that shit.
We don't got
so I
time for
appealed
it.
his appeal. And of course, my question was right and his question was wrong. So it bumped me back up to number 1. And there's a part of me that I just get some satisfaction out of that, because when people try to knock me down, literally, it just fuels me. It just gives me more energy to be better and to do better and do more and to be more, So, and at that time I had 8 years on being a firefighter on the floor fighting fires. It's Station 1.
Yeah.
The one that isn't that a cool station?
Yeah, it is.
30 freaking guys, man.
It's amazing
Isn't that
I know how
fun?
big it is. And it's the biggest one, I think, right?
It is.
And
So huge.
just learning everything about how it works is what's fascinating to me, as far as the medical team, the police and the fire. And I didn't know the fire is the first one usually on site before police or anything. And I'm like, wow. Because what interesting, I had a question. I asked the ER doctor, and some people just don't be listening to my questions. But I had asked him a question because when I felt a 4-story window,
Right.
I was always curious, like, how long was I unconscious and on the ground before ambulance came? How fast did they get me there? And before I lost brain activity, because you don't go some amount of time without oxygen. But then I realized where I felt a 4-story window was on Swenson and Twain.
Okay.
Right there is a fire department.
Right there.
Right there on Flamingo and Swenson.
Right.
And I didn't realize that until I asked myself this question. This was like a month ago. And I was like, oh, that's probably the station that came, got me quickly and took me to Sunrise. But anywho, back to you.
It's called span of control. So what it is it's, I'm not going to go into the details of it, but there has to be a firehouse that jurisdiction covers so many, an area. And then if it's too many houses or buildings, then you have to build another firehouse in order to span of control in order to serve the public, right? Because if you live an hour away, what good is that going to do? Especially when you're in, a city setting. When you're in a city, you have to have these different rules and regulations. So that's why. So there's a certain amount of time that they've got to get there in order to help save the public. That's what we do. First responders, we're there to serve. We definitely, So anyway, so then I went to the or the police academy, and she was my TAC officer. So she went after my job. She went after, she knew, and they were seeing each other. We're going through court. It was awful. But she definitely tried to get me to either quit out of the academy or, fired out of the academy because she knew. I mean, I don't know. I don't even want to get into it because it's just a whole bunch of drama.
We'll read the book. Read the book.
Yeah, read the book because it's really, really good. So a whole bunch of stuff happened. She eventually got kicked out of being a TAC officer, training officer, because what she was doing wasn't right. And one of the other instructors saw it. It wasn't even me that brought it to the attention. So we brought it to the chief of the city, and she's like, "No, you got to go. This is bias. You can't do this." And so she left. I was able to finish the police academy, which is extremely difficult physically, mentally, emotionally. They push you like nobody's business.
Wow.
Yeah, they push you and push you and push you because of what they want to do. Do you have it, or do you got that grit and that grind? I mean, you're going to be carrying a weapon. You're going to be making arrests. You're going to be throwing people in jail. You've got a gun, carried on your side. So what are you going to do with it? So basically, there's a lot of tactics involved and a lot of different things that you learn when you go through the police academy. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and then you became bomb tech. Is that how you became bomb tech?
Then bomb tech. And then you promote. The promotion is it's within the same umbrella. Bomb tech. Then I go to the FBI Bomb Academy in Huntsville, Alabama, Redstone, and it's a big, huge Army base out there. Huge. Took us an hour on a bus just to get back to the range in order to do the training. It was literally about an hour on a bus. I mean, the place is just massive.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved the challenge. I got bored on the floor because I knew there was more to me than just, I call it we call it lock and load in the lazy boy, lock and load, but it's good for a lot of the guys, but and they're happy and they're content, but I just needed to do more. And so that opportunity came my way and I jumped on it and I, was promoted, into the division, and went to the FBI Hazardous Material Device School. So that was 6 weeks. That was 6 weeks long. And my daughter was 4 at the time. So it was really hard to leave her for 6 weeks, but I had to for the training. So it was fun. So you learn how, you learn different things about devices, how to build them, how to detonate them, how to mitigate different devices.
How long ago did you retire?
13 years ago. So I retired in 2013.
What cued that or triggered that to like, this is it, time's up?
My heart. I have just definitely had some medical issues because it's not an easy job.
Like physically your heart, not like your emotional.
No.
Oh, really?
Physically.
What happened?
Well, you know what happens? This job is so stressful, you guys. I mean, you have to get up at 2:00 in the morning and you don't know what, you've got a call, right? The bells go off, the sirens go off, and you're in a dead sleep. And all of a sudden the bells and lights go off. What does that do to your heart? Boom, just right out of, just all that adrenaline and your heart. And that's constant. It's not one day out of a year. It's when you're on duty, it's, all the time. So you're doing that adrenaline, dump, and then you come down. Adrenaline dump, and then you come down. So that does play havoc on your heart, on your physical being, on your, your physicality of how our bodies function. So we have what you call a heart and lung bill. It protects our lungs from what we inhale, and it protects our heart from all the stress that the job, causes doing this for so many decades. I did it for 2 decades plus. It's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
So I knew it was about, I think I was 50 years old and I was 20 years on. So the doctor at the time, because we have a doctor on staff, I was throwing what you call PVCs, where your heart does irregular heartbeats. And he's like, it's not good. It's not good, Munson. You don't want to have your daughter be not have a mom. So basically, he suggested that I retired. Then I went to my own doctor, and he did the same thing. So I knew at that point, and I was having, heart palpitations at night, where your heart would just kind of gets out of rhythm, and it just beats. And I knew, I'm like, it's time to go. Wow. I don't want to die of a stroke. I don't want to die of a heart attack. And what's sad about it is a lot of the guys, first responders, police, and fire, once they retire, within months or years, they die, either a heart attack or a stroke or cancer. So it really does take a toll. And that's why we get to retire at 50, at 50 years or 20 years on and 50 years old. because it does. It takes a toll on you.
Has it been hard, or was it hard at first giving that up? Because it's 20 years of you in action, doing something to now. I don't know what you did after you retired, but to go from that 20 years to now, all right,
Yeah.
I'm back to civilian life. What was that feeling like, or what was that transition like?
It was really hard because 22 years of hanging out with the guys, you have the camaraderie of the guys. I was very well respected, after doing this for so many years. So what I did was the FBI reached out to me, and I trained. I trained at Huntsville or Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama. I trained. So I did that for a couple of years. I was an instructor, and I really
nice.
I loved it. It was. We did a lot of suicide bombing training. Yeah, we did a lot of, hands-on. We had a range. We would blow up things, teach, a lot of different things that you need to know in the field. And we trained a lot of the special forces, because the special forces, what they do, and what I learned, and I didn't know about this, was they're not experts at everything, but I don't even know how to explain it, but they know everything. Because they have a toolbox, and that's what they explained it to me. The Army Rangers and the Navy SEALs, they would all come through our course. And I asked them, I'm like, hey, you guys, and they're kids. They're like 22, 23, 25 years old kids. And I go, how do you guys remember all of this information? Because they go to all this specialized training. And they said, it's a toolbox. And what we know, we have just enough information, and we keep it all in the toolbox. And then when we need it, we go in that toolbox and we can use it, So it was really interesting working with those guys. I loved working with all of that, the military, the EOD. I was out at Nellis all the time training with them. We would do, big vehicle explosions, and it was really cool.
And you mentioned you had a daughter.
I have a daughter.
More kids than that, just her?
Just her. She's 28 now.
She a firefighter?
No. Oh, God, no. I told her no. She asked me. I said,
oh,
no.
Really? She did? Damn.
I said, nope.
What did she end up getting into?
Actually, her dad was a K-9 police officer.
Okay.
Right, for the city. So that's what she's doing now. She went to college. She finished her degree at UNLV, studied abroad, but now she's doing the dog training. She's taken after her dad's footsteps.
Here in Vegas.
In Vegas. Yeah, I told her no. I said, I will not support you one bit of being on the fire. It's too hard. It's too hard. And I didn't want her to go through what I went through. It was a great career, don't get me wrong. I loved it, Would I do it again? I don't know, you guys. I don't know. Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know. It was tough. It was really, really, really hard. Yeah.
Not too long ago, like around the time I had first seen came across you on Instagram and through your trainer, I met another woman. She came on here a few months ago. Her name is Tina. She's a dog trainer. Oh. Her dog sniffs bombs.
Okay.
She has two dogs. One's a bomb sniffer and one is bed bugs.
Oh, I love the bed bugs.
Yeah.
That's kind of new.
Yeah.
The bed bugs.
So she ended up her story was like she ended up getting a Belgian Malinois.
Right.
And knew it has to get a job, like, because the way they are. So she went and she was like, oh, teach me to bed bugs.
Did she get the beagle for the bed bugs, or did she get the Malinois?
The Malinois for the bed bugs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So then she has an Airbnb company.
Okay.
So she has Airbnbs. So she used the dog to help sniff it out.
Oh, wow.
Then a company found her, I don't know what, hired her on, gave her a Cocker Spaniel.
Okay.
That's the bomb sniffer.
Interesting.
Yeah. So now she'll, at her house or one of her B&Bs, she'll have all the K9 units come and they'll do a testing.
Right. Training.
Training. And when I went to the tour of Station 1, I met the bomb techs. And
okay. Oh, did you?
Yeah, I went on the bus, big ass bus. What I was called, I forgot what it's called.
Command center.
Yeah, inside the big old bus, and they showed us all the tools. Yeah. Like all the ones they use, one with a gun on it, the robots.
Right. That's it's called the pan disruptor.
Yeah, it was amazing, and saw the suit.
Oh, you got to watch the dating show that I was on, because I take him to one of our hometowns that I went on. I took him to the firehouse. Yeah, so you have to watch it. It's really cool. And he was able to experience all of the inner workings of the fire department. Okay. Yeah, so it was really fun.
Yeah, it was interesting. And then the guy who had a dog, he knew my friend also. They trained together, and the dog he had he had a Labrador, I think.
Okay.
But he said that dog was born and bred in Tennessee, I think the University of Tennessee, for this job.
Oh, wow.
And then he showed us an explanation. He's like, right here. And I've never seen it in person. To see the dog get cued and go right to the bomb, because he had some stuff that was bomb, I was like, oh my
How
God.
did he? Because I've worked with bomb dogs with Metro. How did
for-
he detect it? What was it? What did he
He had
do?
something. I think the guy had something. He let us know he had like some explosive stuff or something.
Right.
Material
Training. It's training material.
in the
explosives.
car.
Yeah.
He set the dog. I want to say he said find it or something, and the
Right, it
dog
says find
went
it.
from playing to just. And
So
we're-
he
and
just
we're-
he sat and just stared at it.
I think he barked.
Oh, did he bark? Okay.
I think. I can't remember.
Because there's different ways for them to
Cue
identify.
that they found something?
Right, correct.
Yeah.
There's different ways. Yeah. So I worked with Metro a lot with the bomb dogs and Armor. That was their bomb, division. So we
Yeah.
always worked together. But the dogs are great. I love them.
So cool. I saw this. I was watching this show, a movie on Netflix recently. It's called Rip,
Okay.
and it's with Ben Affleck and somebody else. I forgot.
Oh, it's about the dog.
Not
Is it about the dog?
No,
about the okay.
no. They're detectives, and they found a house with money and try to steal it, all this stuff. But anywho, they had a dog,
Uh-huh.
and it's a beagle. So the dog, they go to the lady. Hey, we're gonna search your house. We believe there's drugs in the house. Okay, fine. Lets the dog come in. The dog goes up to the attic, and the dog starts making alert. And the girl's like, "What do you mean? There's no drugs up there." He's like, "This dog is trained to smell money." And they went upstairs and found millions.
Wow, that's so
They
cool.
were laundering money. I was like, I didn't know you can
That's great.
teach dogs to do that. But even my friend that told me you can teach your dogs to smell
anything.
anything.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So my daughter's doing that now. She's really good at it. She's really, really good at it.
Good for
Training
her.
Different dogs doing different things.
Now, one thing I noticed about you that I've seen just through social media is how active you are.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, you've needed it because of what you did,
Mm-hmm.
but still here at 62, I think you said,
Mm-hmm.
you're still very active. And I think it's important for other women who are your age or even a little younger
Mm-hmm.
to understand the importance of doing it at a younger age. That way, when you get to 62, you're still active and moving.
100%. How you treat your body in your 20s, 30s, and 40s is going to show up in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. And I tell my daughter that all the time. Treat your body well, because if you treat your body well, it's going to show up well for you. But if you don't treat your body well, it's not going to show up well for you. Either you can eat your medicine or you can take your medicine. And working out for women is really important, especially we lose so much bone density as we get older. We really do. So we have to really work twice as hard to keep that bone density, the flexibility, your heart, everything. Because I want to live long, but I want to live healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel the same way when it comes to fitness. Like, it's only 34, but I know I'm going to make it a certain point to where everything I'm doing now, I'm able to do as good as I'm doing it. So I want to make sure I'm working on myself now to where, like I said, I do get my 60s, and I don't want to live long and be helpless.
Right.
And need help I want to be able to up and downstairs without help, be able to get my own groceries. And if you're living at that age, but you're always in the need of somebody, or it's kind of just sad living.
Yeah.
And there's a crazy statistic of the moment the older you get and without strength and balance, you fall.
Right.
And if you fall and break your hip, there's like a big dramatic shift in your mortality rate.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. People who break their hips at an older age because it takes longer to get back to normal life. You may never get back to normal.
Right.
How you used to be. And just mentally.
Right.
The toll it takes on you of like.
And I love being strong. I love being, 62 years old, and I love going to the gym and lifting weights. And, it's really important to stay strong, eat healthy. And I've always done that. So I'm continuing to do that.
Was there a point, or at what point when you were going through your journey of being a firefighter, were you able to look and be like, I belong?
It takes about 6 years.
Really?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a really, really good question. It takes about 6 years, and you have to prove yourself to the guys. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's right or it's wrong. It's neither one. It's just the way it is, and about 6 years. And then they started to really respect me. They're like, okay, she's staying around. She's working her ass off. I had to work double, harder than any of the guys at the station. And you have to prove yourself. You just do. And I did,
And what's life looking like for you now?
Life is great now.
How long have you been, because you just said you retired after 20 years at 50. You did the FBI for a little bit. Now, are you completely retired?
Well, when I retired in 2013, I went back to my design. I went back to the design of what I love. So now real estate, I flip some homes.
Yeah.
selling homes, remodeling homes, design, the fun things. Yeah, the fun things. So I
Okay.
went back to just kind of what is it that because here's the fallacy that everybody's like, oh my God, retirement is going to be so great. It's going to be, no, it's not. It's boring. And you lose, it was really hard for me to adjust from doing what I did for 22 years or 25 altogether, and then going back and just being a regular civilian. It was really, really hard because I'm used to, I mean, that job, we saved people. I saved babies, I've saved kids. We're running into burning buildings and the camaraderie of the guys, and then you go back to, you retire and it's all gone. And I think a lot of guys go into a depression. I really do. But men are men and they won't talk about it. But you have to have something after you retire to feel like you are still contributing to life. You really do. I just don't want to be in an empty shell, just kind of sucking oxygen. You've got to, in that camaraderie I had with the guys, now I've got to fill that void. So what am I going to do? So I went back to real estate and I went back to having my own team and doing remodels and flipping homes and design. So
I believe what you said is so true. And not just firefighters, and I think almost any career that's long like that, and you stop it, I think people do fall into a sense of like they're lost. And that's why I feel it's important to always find and know what you are passionate about and like to do and not associate your work with your identity.
Correct.
Because at some point that job is going to be done, whether you retire, you quit, get fired. And if you've done it for 10, 15, you're on a routine schedule. You wake up a certain time, you do something, then it's gone. That's where you hit that identity crisis. Like, damn, who am I without, or what do I do?
But that's what I did. All my guns were gone. Well, they're not gone. I still have my guns, but
She from the hood. Legal guns.
But the status of, my credentials, credentials were gone. And, I was, a bomb tech and United States Marshal deputized. And I was, Secret Service and worked with, Homeland Security and the FBI, the ATF, the EOD. And it was exciting and it was fun. And now all of a sudden it's done. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I felt like the hole in the donut. Like, who am I? And so it definitely takes a transition. And I think that goes what you said along the lines of, I think that does happen to everybody because there's like this whole, and I think a lot of us think like, oh, retirement's going to be great. It is, don't get me wrong, but you still have to have something that you feel like you're participating in contributing and giving back to life. It's really important for that purpose. You got to have that purpose.
Yeah, I think back to when we were kids. If people could think back to what they liked to do before they became an adult, because sometimes you become an adult and you're forced to get into work, and you stay. I'm gonna say a lot of people stay in certain jobs and whatnot because of benefits and because of good pay,
right?
Which I don't blame you. You got to survive in life, but it's like if you take away that pay, you take away the benefits, would you still do that job for free? Most people probably wouldn't. And that's why it's important to find that one thing as a kid that made you feel so alive and creative, whether it's playing an instrument or drawing, knitting, playing, I don't know, whatever it is, because at some point that title and everything's gonna be gone. You got to go back to what gave you life. And I think because we become adults, we forget to play.
Correct.
We forget to have fun. We forget to be creative because I got a kid. I got to pay bills. It sucks that the world's like that sometimes.
Yeah.
But the advice to people, anybody who's listening, is to try and find
your
back
joy. Your
joy. Yeah. What made you a kid?
What makes you joyful?
Yeah.
No, and that's true. It's really, really true as we get older because we do. And that's such a great point. I was a single mom doing all of this. Now let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Single mom. I divorced and she was probably 6 months old, 9 months old. So I did my whole entire career being a single mom. So I was in work mode. And I joke all the time. I went to work when she was 5 and I came home and she was 20.
Damn.
Because I was just in work mode.
Wow.
I had to survive, and I had to take care of her and put food on the table and a roof over our head. I didn't get any money out of the divorce. I didn't get any alimony. There was none of that stuff back in the day. I had to make it all work for her and myself. So now it's, I have an opportunity to go back to what brings you joy. And it could be the littlest things.
Yeah.
Playing with my Frenchie, my dog. That brings me such joy. Taking a walk, sitting in the sun, making a phone call to a friend that might be lonely or sad, or they just lost their wife or their husband, really trying to, live life. And I've always said this, and I mean this, and it kind of sounds hokey, but I really do want to leave the world a better place when I leave. Just in my little spot. just in my little corner. And I think if we can all do that, I think the world would be a better place for all of us. Because isn't that what we all want at the end of the day? We want to have, roof over our head, food in our belly, and we want to feel safe and secure, and we want to enjoy life. And I think if we can all just take that little space that, God has given us and make it a little bit better, just a little bit better when we leave, it's going to be that much better for the next generation.
From what you just said just now, I have a question. You went in when she was pretty much 5, back to 15. It was a joking thing. But was there any guilt on your end or the relationship between you guys not as well because you were gone, in a sense, always working?
Oh my gosh. You have to go into this. I mean, there's some times where I dropped her off in the morning at daycare and I knew I wouldn't see her for 24 hours and I cried all the way to the firehouse because, I was battling wanting to I had that maternal instinct to be there for my daughter as a woman, but then I knew I had to go to work. So it was really, I was torn, but there was nothing I could do about it. I had to suck it up and go to work and get it done. And a lot of times where a lot of the mommies, could stay home and be the moms, I was envious and I was jealous because they got to stay home. But then on the other hand, I really enjoyed what I did. So I'm telling you what, it was a lot of conflict for me. And I know one time she made a statement to, why can't you be like the other mommies? Because the mommies were staying home. And I did feel guilty and I did feel really bad about that. But that wasn't my lot in life. It just wasn't the cards that I was dealt. The cards was dealt that, I'm working in a man's world. I've got to put food on our table, a roof over our head, and I'm doing the best that I can. And I did. I was a good mom. I was a really good mom because I knew that time in my life with her it's just a very short time. And I knew one day she was going to be gone. So, and I didn't date a lot after my divorce. I really wasn't a priority. My priority was my career and my priority was her. And we had a great 3 years together.
That's good.
Yeah.
With what you just mentioned, you said you kind of had to just show up, even though you're feeling sad and crying, and then going back to being a young adult kicked out at 18 and got to just grind. For me, I was very similar in a sense of rolling with the punches, pushing forward, not crying, almost like David Goggins mentality.
Oh, yeah.
Through all that, I also learned how to shut off and not allow myself to feel.
Amen.
For you, was that something you experienced? Wow. And if you did, how'd you get through that?
Wow. Now you're going deep, man. Now you're going deep.
Yeah.
Now we're going Coggins right here, man. We're going Coggins. You learn because I can't show up to the firehouse crying. Hell no. Are you kidding me? They'd eat me for lunch. So, you got to suck it up and you got to compartmentalize those emotions. Or you got to and I used to say I would shut them off. So I just envisioned it like a big panel. And what I would do is just start shutting off all those emotions. And I did to survive because I'm surviving. And so I don't have time to deal with emotions. And that's one thing I learned about me being on the dating show is that I learned, because now I was in a house of 23 women. First time in my life. I'm like, oh shit, what do I do with this? I'm used to the guys, 20, 30 guys, but not the women. And what I learned a lot that I did really suppress a lot of my emotions. Because, and here's another thing, being married, going through going through that trauma of your husband cheating on you and having a baby by another woman, right, at a 34, 35-year-old, 36-year-old woman, that's devastating. Now I'm going to work, and now I've got to go get the baby out of the pool that's blue, right, and sit the baby on the table and do CPR when the baby's blue. You know what I'm saying? Now I got to go and explain why the 19-year-old daughter is not waking up because she OD'd and she's gone. Now I got to explain to the parents why there's brain matter all over the ceiling. Oh, yeah. I know, it's bad. It's the stuff that we go through and the stuff that we see. And it really angers me because a lot of people say that, we make too much money. I'm like, bullshit. We don't make enough money.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Some of the people, we don't make enough money, because the things that I've seen and the things that I've had to live with, and I carry those things with me because I don't know why. Some of them, not all of them, I've let them go. But at Halloween, there was a drug deal gone bad, and the kids were trick or treating in the hood, right? And I was stationed over there, And all the little kids are out trick-or-treating. Well, here comes the car with the guns taking out the kids,
Oh,
right?
no.
Drug deal gone bad. And the kids just start falling, right?
Wow.
And I had the little 8-year-old with the bullet in the back of his head die in my arms. So you tell me, how much is that worth, right? How much is that worth? Would you do it? And that's what you have to ask yourself. Would you do it? Yeah. Yeah. You know, and so this poor boy, you know, so those are the things. We don't make enough money. We really don't. The first responders don't make enough money of what we go through, not only emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, but physically. It affects our health. So, you know, it's interesting. The whole thing is very, very interesting. And I don't even know where we were going with this.
I was asking.
What was the question?
You were good. I was just asking. It sounded the way very similar to me in the sense of I had to learn to shut off my emotions.
Thank you.
And wasn't allowed. I went to my first therapy session recently.
Oh, good.
And she brought that up. Which I already knew, but she kind of pointed it out. And I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe we need to work on. And that's why we're hearing you describe certain things. It reminded me of myself when I was describing certain things. And I don't know if you're in a place now where you said you noticed it when you were in the show. And I'm curious if something you're working on, you have worked on, have you talked to a therapist about it, something you've realized with yourself that you shut off those emotions?
I've been in therapy since I was probably after, 27 years old.
Wow.
Because I knew I needed,
Yeah.
you know, going through this, my relationship and stuff, I knew I needed help. I know one thing in life, I can't do this by myself. And that's, thank God for that. I need help. You know, I'm not an island. We're not put on this planet just to do it by ourselves. There is help out there. And I had to. It's so interesting that you talk about this because when my daughter was 19, and I went on a call where the 19-year-old didn't wake up because she OD'd. And the guys always told, it pissed me off because guys always made me go tell the families. Munson, go tell the family because I was the girl, right? You know, I got the emotions and shit. So I was always left telling the family that their loved ones have died. You know how horrible that is? That's awful. It sucks. So one particular call, and I've got many of them, but one particular call, the 19-year-old didn't wake up. The mom was devastated, right? And I didn't have Dakota. I didn't have my daughter at the time. I didn't think about this call for years, right? Decades. So all of a sudden, my daughter's at home with me. She's 19 years old, and I'm not consciously thinking about this stuff. I couldn't wake her up, right? I freaked out. My body and my mind and my soul was triggered and remembered subconsciously about that 19-year-old not waking up. And I just started shaking her like crazy.
Oh, wow.
Wake up, because it triggered in me that I didn't even know was deep down inside of my soul. It triggered that. And I just went into panic mode. And she finally woke up because she was a very heavy sleeper. She's like, Mom, what the hell are you doing? What is wrong with you? And I just started sobbing.
Wow.
Because it triggered that emotion in me that I had buried. That's the point, that I buried decades ago. You know?
Wow.
Yeah. And I had another incident that happened, the same thing. I'll share it with you. I was doing a VRBO. I managed VRBOs too. After I retired, I was in Laguna managing some. And I heard there was 3 cottages, and I was in one cottage checking some people in. And in the other cottage, I started to hear a fight, and the husband and wife were fighting. Well, the dude took a knife and slit his throat, right? And so I'm like, okay. So when things like that happen, I get real quiet, and I go into work mode, and everything gets very quiet, very peaceful, and I just go in with my training, and I do what I have to do. There's no emotion. There's no panic. I just go in and I get the job done. Go in, wrap some stuff around him, secure the bleeding in his neck, call 911. The guys come, they get him, they take him away. Thank God he survived, right? Thank God. And there's blood,
Oh my God.
Spewing out everywhere. But to me, I'm cool because that's what I've done. But then I go back to the cottage, and about 45 minutes later, I have breakdown. I start sobbing. I'm like, what the hell is going on with me? So I called my ex-partner on the bomb squad, who I worked with for 13 years, Timmy. And I'm like, something's wrong with me. I can't stop crying. And he proceeded to tell me, he goes, this is for all the trauma that you went through that triggered it. And I had been retired for probably about 4 years at that time, about 4 years. And so it all just came up. So as much as we want to shove all that shit down and we want to bury it alive, that's what we do. We don't bury it dead. We bury it alive. But I didn't know. So I got into some trauma therapy and just started, working through some of that stuff. And because I don't, I didn't even know it was there. When you go, I didn't even know it was there. That's the best I can say. Yeah.
A lot of us don't know until we're triggered by something.
Thank you.
And
I was like, holy shit. I could not stop crying. And it was all that pushing down all those emotions from all that trauma with all the scenes and all the calls and the burning building and it's a lot. Yeah.
I have a question for you. We'll wrap up here in a little bit.
Okay.
Who's been the hardest person you had to forgive?
Myself.
What'd you have to forgive yourself for?
The mistakes that I've made, just the mistakes that I've made, the hardest, because my bat's bigger than anybody else's bat. I hold myself at such a high expectation. I really do. I'm really hard on myself. We've all made mistakes. I haven't chosen good men. They come into my life, and I had to do a lot of work around that because I came from a broken home. My mom and dad divorced and remarried 3 times. And my mom was an alcoholic. Her father was an alcoholic. So I have that also in my lineage. So, and I had to understand how that affects me today. And it does. It affects all of us. It really does. And I had to do a lot of healing around that as well because I didn't want to continue those patterns. My mother learned it from her grandfather, and God only knows what his father was. But it's just, my grandfather to my mom, because my mom emotionally was never available. She was an alcoholic. She was always drinking. And back in the 70s, popping pills like crazy.
Yeah.
That's what they, opiates. You open up that medicine cabinet and it was
Xanax.
Like Valium and all that stuff.
Fired
she was
up.
always high.
70s were good, huh?
Yeah, I'm telling you. So they had a real, tumultuous relationship back and forth. So a lot of healing. So I had I was always how I got my love and attention in my family growing up was the overachiever. That's how I got that. You get it being the bad kid or the wallflower or the overachiever. So there's roles that we all take on in the family system. And I just wanted to heal those parts that needed to be healed so I wouldn't take those patterns and transfer them over to my daughter. As I wanted to give her the best life that I could possibly give her. So I had to be honest with it. I had to be honest about this has affected my life, And so a 12-step program. I got into Al-Anon, and really still involved in the 12-step program with Al-Anon and because it has helped my life, tremendously, growing up in an alcoholic home to understand it and then to take those patterns and do something different.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, do something different. So I can pass that on to my daughter so she can do something different and then her daughter can do something different.
It's a whole different cycle.
Right, it is. And to break the chain, to break the cycle.
Be a new link in the chain.
There you go.
Woo.
It's a lot of work, though. Let me tell you what. It really is. It's a lot of work.
Last question I have for you. Is there a quote or mantra you live by? What is it and why?
Feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Because I think a lot of us in this life, we feel a little bit of fear and we get uncomfortable and that just stops us in our tracks. And I think my entire life, I had to feel the fear and do it anyway. And I don't get the courage on this side of the fear, right? I have to feel the fear and then I get the courage once I walk through it. That's where the courage comes from. The courage comes on the other side of fear. It doesn't go, well, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to wait until I feel courage and then I'm going to go do it. It doesn't work like that. I think Coggins talks about that too in his book.
Yeah.
In books. I think he talks about that. You don't get the courage on the other side. You don't get it on this side of it. You get it on the other side of it because you have to walk through with that fear. And then once you walk through it, then the courage comes.
Powerful, Beg.
Yeah.
Anything you got coming on you want to share or express? This episode will come out the first week of March. So anything coming out in March or in this year you want to tell the audience about?
Yeah, March the 21st, we're having, March the 21st, Vegas Roots Rescue. I'm going to be working with Lauren and we're going to be doing a fundraising and adopting puppies because she's amazing here in town. She runs this whole foundation of Vegas Roots Rescue. So look for it on my Instagram page. Where I'm going to start posting a lot of information about it. But come down, adopt a dog, adopt a puppy, give some money, help this organization because Lauren is absolutely amazing.
Peg, Thank you so
Yay.
much.
Thanks for having me. I
For
really
making it. That was a
appreciate
beautiful conversation. I loved hearing more and getting depth about your journey of how you got to where you are, things you've done. I will tag her Instagram in the description of this podcast. Go check her out. She's been on some interesting shows. She's done a lot of great work in the community here in Las Vegas and the world. I hope her story inspires you. Woman firefighter and bomb tech on Women's History Month. Gotta love it. And I'm going to leave you with the word. I got to figure which one I was going to do today. You got to make a decision if you want to get better or you want to continue to just get by. That's a decision you got to make with yourself. If you want to get better, it's going to require you to do some hard work, some honest work, radical honesty. Look at yourself in the mirror, talk to yourself, and ask, do I want to get better or want to continue to just get by? Ultimately, the choice is up to you. Your decision, your habits are going to get you there. Stop playing safe, get dangerous, get better. 2 words, keep growing. We out.